This weekend, a couple major events happened. On the 19th, there was the 45th annual March for Life, and then on the 20th, there was the second annual Women's March. So I wanted to start with the March for Life for my favorite sign that I saw there. I was unable to attend, but I did my best to be there in spirit. And it was of two girls standing next to each other, and one was holding up a sign saying, "Americans are born to be free, if only they were free to be born." And I thought that this was just thought-provoking in the fact that our military and everyone fights in order for us to be free, but those without a voice are the ones who end up being left desolate. So then going into the Women's March, we always see, that tagline, "My body, my choice." So I decided today I was going to make my version of that sign, "My body, my choice." The baby in the womb should be the one who is making the choice for life. And if someday it decides it wants to commit suicide, then that's its choice. It's his or her body. And, it's this whole deal that suicide and this whole lack of respect for life that's going on is being a huge detriment to our society. According to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, almost 1 in 5 teenagers between 15 and 19 have considered suicide, and nearly 10%, or 1 in 10, have actually attempted it. I would fall into that statistic. When I was in 11th grade, I attempted suicide. I went to the ER and everything, and by God's grace, I'm alive today, and by the grace of a friend who was aware of the situation. And yeah, it's scary. It's something that we can become susceptible to from insecurity, from being bullied, from simply not feeling loved or having enough attention. There are all types of things that play into suicide. But when we get back to the sacredness of life, what are we instilling in our children? How are we showing them that we are loved? I want to reference into Article 5 and Part 3 of the Catechism. Paragraphs 2258 through 2330 focus on this whole "you shall not kill" part of the commandment. And in paragraph 2258, right where it starts, it says, "Human life is sacred because from its beginning it involves the creative action of God, and it remains forever in a special relationship with the Creator, who is its sole end. God alone is the Lord of life from its beginning until its end. No one can, under any circumstance, claim for himself the right directly to destroy an innocent human being." So that includes babies, and that includes ourselves. Like the major commandment that Christ left us with, love your neighbor as yourself. Well, how can we love our neighbor if we don't know how to love ourselves? People can say, "Oh, you're comparing apples and oranges," but in the Catechism, through these paragraphs, it talks about, the origination of murder with Abel murdering Cain out of anger and envy, goes into legitimate self-defense, intentional homicide, abortion, euthanasia, suicide, and then in this next part, so that's all respect for human life, and then we have respect for the dignity of persons. So that goes into like scandal, whether we're doing something in order to kind of be dramatic about it or to be an influence, a respect for health, respect for the person and scientific research, respect for bodily integrity, so that's going into like not torturing or kidnapping, and respect for the dead. And then finally, the third section of this is safeguarding peace. St. Augustine said that peace is the tranquility of order. So, and it also deals with like avoiding war. So when we talk about respect for life, I read a blog that was insightful in that it was talking about how they were unapologetically pro-life, but they were so disappointed that President Trump spoke at the March for Life. And I see both sides. I see Trump drawing, being the first president to stand there, but being genuinely pro-life includes more than just saying these women must have babies. It has to do with respect for every life that is in existence. It's, against euthanasia. It's so much more than just have these babies, because the inherent dignity, I've been reached out to by people this week who know people who have committed suicide, and they're just like, "I don't know what to do with this." And it's not something that's easy to deal with. It's terrifying. We don't exactly know, we trust that God has mercy. The church states that we pray for those who have taken their own lives. But I think that unless you've been personally touched by it or have like a direct encounter with an attempt, that terrifying piece doesn't come forward. And it has the ability to wake someone up to that dignity of life, to how we should be respecting life from conception, In 2015, suicide was the second leading cause of death for Americans between ages 10 and 24. And I think that should say something. Like, yeah, we can point fingers at the internet. We can point fingers at bullying. We can point fingers at all of these things. But at the end of the day, if we aren't teaching our children to respect life and a generous and gracious way of how to live, that's going to come forward in the actions that they pursue. And being able to help them understand how to receive that love. Because that's what it boils down to. Like, you can love someone all they want, but unless they know how to receive that into their heart, they aren't going to know that it's genuine. They aren't going to know that it's real and there and available. And that's one of the things that we have as a grace, to be the children of God. Because we all know, as I'm getting older, it's like I'm more and more like my mom. Like, we become more and more like our parents. And by the adoption of the sonship, by being adopted by Christ, he is, God is now our Father. He is our parent, and we can grow to be more like him. And I just want everybody to just keep thinking about that baby, love trumps hate, right? Like, that wants to be on the Women's March, but it may as well be in March for Life. Love does trump hate, and loving this life within you. I mean, it's phenomenal how much that is disregarded in the Women's March. And I'm all for equal pay. I am all for everything. But this whole my body, my choice, man, it's this body. This is the body that needs to be acknowledged. This is the one who needs to be able to make the choice. So at the end of the day, we're born to be free, but we need to be free to be born. God bless. This is Allie Marie with My Catholic Perspective, and I will see you guys again next week Sunday. Take care.